We are talking about tricky people. How do we deal with tricky people? I'm going to be giving you 5 practical strategies. This is a question that came to our office this past week, a number of times actually. And this is one of those great topics. I'm Dr. Karen. If we haven't met before, I've been doing this work for 25 years with both businesses, organizations, entrepreneurs, and also families. And this is just one of those topics you can apply to every part of our life. We all have tricky people in our life. We need to learn how to manage these different relationships. And so this is just one of those leadership skill sets all of us want to have in our back pocket. Okay, so 5 practical strategies. Everybody get out your pen and paper and let's dive in. So whether or not you are an entrepreneur, a parent, a professional, a young person that's actually starting your career, you're going to want to know how to do this. Okay, so tip number 1 is if you haven't read my book, if you haven't seen a TED Talk, I encourage you obviously to do both. It goes into a lot more detail. The 3 chairs hit Wall Street Journal #2 last year, which we were really excited about. And it gives you a wonderful framework to understand people. That's why it's done. The book is done so well. It's very, very simple for people to understand how the 3 chairs works and how you can use this framework in lots of different parts, professionally and also personally. So if you haven't read it or seen it, here's a quick summary. The person in the left chair, they have what we call the blind attitude. They put themselves down. The person in the right chair have what we call the arrogant attitude. They put other people down. And then you've got the middle chair, and that's the healthy, confident attitude. And they view themselves as an equal with other people. So they're not putting other people down. They're not putting themselves down, but they really have a healthy, confident attitude. So those are the 3 chairs. So your first tip, as you're relating to tricky people, and I talk about it in the book, is to really understand. Really, I think you're watching this because you want to be a great, confident leader, professional, entrepreneur, parent, person, which is really, my guess is you want to be in that middle chair. I think most of us do. Stats tell us that 70% of people actually sit in the left and the right chair, but most of us want to sit in that middle chair. And so if we're sitting in that middle chair, where are tricky people sitting? Okay, so this is kind of tip number 1. Well, tricky people will sit in the left and the right chair. Nobody is perfect. Let's be really clear about this. Nobody is perfect. That middle chair is not a perfect person. It's a person that is striving to be healthy. They want to be confident. They want to be lifting people up. So we're all, growth and leadership is a journey. It is not a destination. This is something that we have to be constantly working on. But when we traditionally think of person who is tricky, it's the left and the right chair. Why? Here's why. The person in the left chair, for a lot of times in conflict, what they will do is because they put themselves down and they're so tough on themselves, when you try to raise something with them, they tend to personalize it. So it tends to be really difficult to bring up topics or problems with a person in that left chair. And so it's very hard to solve anything if you bring something up and all of a sudden the person is now talking about themselves instead of the issue. The person in the right chair, what happens when you often bring something up is they will blame you for it. So you bring up something and they will say, no, it's your fault that you're actually doing that. And so they kind of spin it back to you. And so it can be very tricky and very challenging to bring up issues when you're dealing with somebody in that left and that right chair. And so the reason why I share this with you is because for all of us who want to be kind of great leaders, confident leaders in professionally and personally, it's just helpful understand the dynamics at play when we're trying to deal with a tricky situation. Okay, so that's kind of so the person in that middle chair is that they want to really solve the issue, and this kind of goes into the second tip. The second tip is really have the posture when we're dealing with tricky situations or tricky people. Have the posture of how can I be a person who sits in the middle chair as I'm trying to resolve this issue, and what do I need to do differently to sit in that middle chair? And the person in that middle chair, what they do is they focus on solving problems. This is really critical, okay? A person in the left chair, they tend to want to avoid problems. A person in the right chair, they want to attack problems or attack people. A person in that middle chair, they realize, listen, no family is perfect, no team is perfect, no system is perfect. So there are problems that actually come up. So I want to lean into this and try to solve this actually as fast as we can. So really try to think to yourself, how can I try to approach this situation, this tricky situation, this tricky person from a posture from the middle chair? That's what I want you to think about, is because a person in that middle chair, they are addressing issues. Life is full of issues. They're not going to avoid it. They want to solve it. Okay, so that's the second thing I want you to think about. Third thing is when you actually are leaning in and you're trying to solve this, what I want you to do is I want you to ask questions. Questions are a wonderful way to try to understand where a person's actually coming from. You know, as Stephen Covey would say, seek first to understand. Try to understand where they are coming from. And because people will actually have their different narratives with different situations. And so again, going back to that 3 chairs, be aware, listening, you know, as you're trying to seek to understand, be aware that a person in that left chair, they might be blaming themselves, and that's where they're kind of like starting to spin. Or the person in that right chair, they're kind of like attacking you. And so you want to kind of really ask questions to get clarity around how do they see the problem? How do they see the problem? And what solutions would they be recommending in the situation? And what could, and what could be kind of the action plan kind of moving forward? If you can have that posture, you're probably going to have a much better conversation about actually trying to move this forward. And if you like this content, definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel. Obviously, we've got lots of great videos for you on different topics that relate to leadership as it relates to business and organizations and families. But we also have a wonderful free scorecard to really help you assess your 5 core leadership skills to be in that middle chair. If you want to receive that, just type below receive in the comments, and someone from our team will actually send that to you. But that's a great way just to kind of lean in and figure out what are those 5 core skills I need to be sitting in that middle chair. Our scorecard is a wonderful free way for you to kind of assess it. Okay, so that is so that's a good little action step for you as well. Okay, so 4th tip as it relates to dealing with tricky people is once you are now having that posture, how can I be in the middle chair? How can I lean in? How can I try to talk with people around trying to, here's the issue. What are they recommendations in terms of trying to solve it? So having that solution focused mindset. The 4th one is hopefully you figured out some kind of a resolution in talking with the folks, whoever they are, whether it's personally or professionally. The 4th step is sometimes after you do that, you need to actually set boundaries. There are many people that simply don't want to sit in that middle chair, or they are resistant, or they want to keep avoiding the problems or attacking the problems. And so once you've had the courage to try to resolve it, and hopefully you've made some progress there will be some people that you realize that they just, that's where they're at. You can't change people. I can't change people. You can't change people. So that 4th step is dealing with tricky people is really starting to actually set boundaries. How do you set boundaries in that relationship? Obviously, it's going to be very different if it's a relationships with somebody professionally or at work versus if it's a family member or a personal relationship. But you want to start actually thinking about setting boundaries for yourself. It is really important when we're dealing with tricky people and tricky situations that we protect ourselves. That middle chair really is very intentional about what their goals are and what they want to kind of work towards, and who they actually want to surround themselves with, and making sure that they are actually setting boundaries to protect themselves. And so you want to think about what are the boundaries that you need to set up. Do you need to start creating distance with somebody that is a tricky person that you just feel the situation feels toxic to you? Do you need to kind of protect yourself? You need to kind of set boundaries. Then that posture, that middle chair, is after you've tried to resolve it. And I am always going to be an advocate of trying to get people to lean in and try to resolve things. If after you've tried to resolve it and things are, whether even if it's moved a little bit or it's moved not at all, it is okay and it is healthy to set boundaries around yourself. Okay, and this is a really important principle. All right, that great leaders and confident leaders, they are solution focused, but they also set boundaries. And so that's your 4th one. And the 5th step, everybody, is as we're trying to deal with tricky people, tricky situations, as you're trying to, hopefully you are watching this because you want to sit in the middle chair. You're not somebody that just wants to kind of passively kind of coast through life. You want to sit in that middle chair. That's why you're listening to this. Then my encouragement is setting boundaries is the 4th one. The 5th one is really look for people in your life that can really join you in this journey in terms of sitting in that middle chair. Who are the people in your life that will lift you, that will encourage you, that will support you, that are in your corner, that are going to champion you? and really love you, we all need support. We all do. So who are those people in your life that can really support you, and really be intentional about those relationships? And those people that really love you and support you, they will love you, they will support you, they're in your corner. Hopefully they're also in that middle chair. They will love you, but they will also challenge you. Okay, so people in that middle chair are not yes people all the time. They will love and encourage you and support you, and they will also challenge you or hold you accountable. And that is because they care deeply for your own emotional well-being. And so you want to figure out who are those people in my life and surround yourself with those people as much as you can, because that will strengthen you. That will build up your emotional capacity so when you do have those tricky people or those tricky situations in your life, you have more emotional capacity, mental capacity in terms of actually dealing with other people. So those are the 5, everybody. So hopefully you have found this really helpful. Again, if you want to get that free scorecard, just type in receive in the chat or in the comments, and someone from our team will actually send that out to you. And we've got lots of videos for you to watch. So definitely go and watch some of our other videos. And if you have a topic you would like us to actually cover, put that also down in the comments, because that's actually how we get our suggestions in terms of doing these videos. So we want to encourage you and support you, and so that all of us can be great, confident leaders in that middle chair. Thanks so much, everyone.